Good morning students. In our today's lecture, we are going to discuss about some of the basic problems related to the structure of atom that are important from your board exam point of view and some competitive exam point of view. So we are with our first problem, that is, what are canal rays? So what actually the canal rays? Canal rays are basically the anode rays transmitted from cathode to anode in a specially designed tube known as electric discharge tube. So what are canal rays? These are actually the anode rays, and these are discharged from cathode to anode in a specially designed tube, known as electric discharge tube. So this is all about what actually the canal rays are. Now we are with our next problem. If an atom contains one electron and proton, then will it carry any charge or not? So if an atom contain an electron and proton, will it carry any charge or not? If it have one electron and proton, then the charge will be neutralized. So we have a solution for this problem, that is electron 1, proton 1. So if we are given with one electron and one proton, electron will having a plus E charge and the proton will having a proton will carry positive charge, electron will carry negative charge. So the negative plus positive has been cancelled, and what we will get? We will get the neutral atom. So if an atom contains electron and proton, it will not going to carry any charge. So answer is no. Now we are with our next problem. On the basis of Thomson's model of an atom, explain how the atom is neutral as a whole. Now we want to show the neutrality of an atom. So what we will do, according to Thomson's atomic model, if I talk about Thomson's atomic model, what we have seen in this model, we have plus charge at the center of the atom, and the center of the atom is basically known as nucleus. And what we will see in Thomson's atomic model, electrons are embedded in the sphere. So we have electrons in this positive sphere. These are actually electrons which are embedded in Thomson's atomic model. So what we will see here, the entire positive charge present at the center of the atom will get neutralized by the number of electrons present in an atom. So we may say that the positive charge will be cancelled by a negative charge, so that atom is neutral. So it is all about the Thomson's atomic model. Now proceeding to our next question. On the basis of Rutherford's model of an atom, which subatomic particle is present in the nucleus of an atom? We know that entire positive charge is concentrated in the nucleus. So if I talk about nucleus, what is present in the nucleus? Entire positive charge. So entire positive charge will be concentrated in the nucleus of an atom, or we may say that it may consist only positive charge. So the positively charged particles are basically known as protons. So the correct answer is proton, which is the subatomic particle in the Rutherford's model of an atom. Now we will have our fifth question. Draw a sketch of Rutherford model of an atom with the 3 shells. So now we are with our fifth question. We have fifth question. Draw a sketch of Bohr's model of an atom. As we know, the Bohr's model of an atom consists of 3 shells, and these 3 shells can be designated as K shell, M shell, L and M, and so on. We have N shell, that is the 4th shell. So here it is a sketch for Rutherford's model of Bohr's model of an atom. We have 3 shells in it, that is K shell having a value of n equal to 1, L n equal to 2 and M n equal to 3. And what we see in the center, we have in center a nucleus which is a concentrated charge of positive sphere. Now we are with our sixth question. What do you think would be the observations if the alpha scattering experiment is carried out using a foil of metal other than gold? So we know that in Rutherford's experiment, what Rutherford have been he used the gold foil. It means thin foil. So Rutherford uses the gold foil, which is actually a thin foil of a very 10 raised to the power minus 10 dimensions. So what is the observation if alpha scattering experiment will be carried out using the other foil? So if it carried out using the other foil rather than gold, what we have observed, the observations would not be same as that he has observed in the experiment. So the experimental calculations will be disturbed. Secondly, if we use the thick coil or the thick foil of a certain element, what happens here? We will see here, if we use thick foil, the electrons will not bounce back or we will not get the results as we are desired. So what are the drawbacks of using thick foil? First, observations would not be correct. Secondly, if we use the thick gold foil, electrons will not bounce back. And finally, we will not get the satisfactory results. We will not get satisfactory results. So, these are the conclusions of using the gold foil of thick metal or any other metal. So, the Rutherford uses the gold foil in this experiment. Now, we are with our next question. Name the 3 subatomic particles of an atom. We have 3 subatomic particles of an atom according to the Rutherford's model of an atom, that is electron, proton and neutron. So the correct answer will be electron, proton and neutron. We have 3 subatomic particles. So the 3 subatomic particle will be electron, proton and third one is neutron. So these are basically the 3 subatomic particles of an atom. Now proceeding to our next question, we have question number 8. Helium atom has a atomic mass of 4 units and 2 proton in its nucleus. Now we want to calculate the number of neutrons in the helium atom. So we have helium atom has an atomic mass of 4 units. So atomic mass equal to 4U. Now we have 2 protons in the nucleus. number of protons, that is Z equal to 2. Now for calculating the number of neutrons, we have a formula, that is atomic mass is equal to Z plus N. And now we want to calculate the number of neutrons, so the formula will be M minus Z. Here atomic mass is 4 units and number of protons 2. So we will get 4 minus 2 equal to 2. So number of neutrons come out to be as a 2. According to the formula, M equal to Z plus N. Now coming to our next question, we have question number 9. Write the distribution of electrons in the carbon and sodium atoms. So we have first atom, carbon atom, and next we have sodium atom, and we want to write the distribution of electron in both these atoms. We know that atomic number for carbon will be 6 and atomic mass is 12. For sodium atom, atomic number is 11 and atomic mass is 23. Here we can write atomic number 6 and atomic mass 12. For sodium atom, we have atomic number 11 and atomic mass 23. So this is basically the number of protons and the total mass of the nuclei. Now we want to distribute we have to show the distribution of electrons. So for carbon, we have an electronic configuration 2 and 4, that will give us 6, and for atomic number 11 we have electronic configuration 2, 6 and 3, that will give us the number of electrons in the outermost shell. Now we will show the distribution of electron in a nuclei. So what we will have, we have nucleus in the center, then we have K shell, then we will have L shell. Similarly, we have nucleus in the center, then we have K shell, L shell and M shell. Now we will show the distribution of carbon and sodium atom. So what we may conclude from here, firstly in center it consists of nucleus, again in the center it consists of nucleus. Now we have 2 and 4 electrons. So the 2 electrons will be present in K shell and the 4 electrons will be present in the outermost shell. Now talking about sodium, we have the electronic configuration 2, 6, 3. So we have 2 electrons in the K shell, 6 electrons in the L shell, and M shell will accommodate maximum of 3 electrons. So the 3 electrons in the outermost shell. So here it is the distribution of electrons in case of carbon and sodium atom. Now we are with our next problem, that is problem number 10. If K and L shells of an atom are full, then what will be the total number of electrons in the atom? So the solution for this problem will be, we know that K shell can accommodate maximum of 2 electrons and L shell can accommodate maximum of 8 electrons. So now if we want to write the total number of electrons in both the shells, what we will do? Total number of electrons will be 2 plus 8, that is equal to 10. So we may say that this thing is fully filled orbital, or we may conclude that the atom of the entire positive charge will be fully filled because it can accommodate maximum of 10 electrons, which is actually the capacity of LK shell. Now what we want to do, we want to show the distribution of electrons in the sodium atom. So what we have actually done, first in the center, if I consider the sodium atom with atomic number 11, then its electronic configuration will be 281. It means we have maximum of 2 electrons in the K shell, 8 electrons in the L shell and 1 electron in the M shell. Now we will do the electronic configuration as per KLM. So we have nucleus in the center. Now we have our first shell, that is K shell, second shell is L shell, and third shell will be the M shell. So what we have done here, we have nucleus in the center. Now K shell can accommodate maximum of 2 electrons here. So 2 electrons in the K shell. We have 8 electrons in the L shell. So 8 electrons can be accommodated in L shell, and for the M shell we have the 1 electron. So the 1 electron will be in the M shell. So it can accommodate maximum of 2, 8, 1 electrons. Now we have our next question, question number 11. How will you find the valency of chlorine, sulfur and magnesium? So we want to determine the valency of chlorine, sulfur and magnesium. So among all these three, chlorine, sulfur and magnesium, magnesium is a metal, in spite sulfur and chlorine are non-metal. So magnesium is metal. On the other hand, chlorine and sulfur are known metals. Chlorine and sulfur are known metals. So we have the two formulas for calculating the number of valence electrons in both the shell. So the valency for metal will be number of valence electron. So valency for metal will be number of valence electron. If I talk about non-metal, we have a formula for calculating the valency. The valency must be equal to 8 minus number of valence electron. So for the chlorine, we have a formula, valency equal to 8 minus number of valence electrons. So we can conclude the valency of above three. Firstly, we will determine the valency for magnesium. Magnesium is having a atomic number 12. So its electronic configuration will be 2, 8 and 2. So the valency for magnesium will be 2. So the correct answer is 2. Now we will talk about chlorine and sulfur. So firstly I will write for sulfur. Sulfur is a non-metal having atomic number 16 and its electronic configuration is 286. So number of valency will be equal to 8 minus number of valence electrons. So 8, number of valence electron present here is 6. So 8 minus 6 give us 2. So we may conclude that valency for sulfur will be 2. Now coming to our next element, that is chlorine. I will write chlorine here. Chlorine is having an atomic number of 17. So its electronic configuration is 287. Now we want to conclude the valency of this element. So valency of this element will be 8 minus number of valence electron, that is 7. 8 minus 7 give us 1. So these are the valency of these elements. Valency for magnesium is 2. Valency for chlorine we have concluded sulfur 2 and valency for chlorine equal to 1. So the correct answer is 2, 2 and 1. You can copy it now if someone wants to copy it. Now we are with our next problem. If number of electrons in an atom is 8 and number of protons is also 8, then what is the atomic number of that element? what we have given, we are given with number of electrons 8 and number of protons also 8. Number of electrons 8 and number of protons also 8. Now what we want to conclude, we want to conclude the atomic number for that element. So the first problem is atomic number of element. Atomic number of element will be the number of protons. So the correct answer is 8. Now what we want to conclude in our next section, we want to find out the charge of an atom. So if we are given with 8 positive charge and 8 negative charge, the entire charge on the atom will be 0. It means we can conclude that atom is neutral. So positive charge we have given 8 and negative charge we are given with is also -8. So charge will be +8 -8, it will give us 0. So we can say that atom is neutral. So it is about the neutrality of the atom. Now proceeding to our next problem, we have question number 13. With the help of the table, find out the mass number of oxygen and sulfur atom. Now we will calculate the mass for oxygen and sulfur. We are given with 2 elements. Firstly, we will write the number of protons. Then we will write the number of neutrons. Next, we will write about the mass number. We have 2 elements here. We want to calculate the mass of oxygen and sulfur atoms. So firstly, we will have oxygen here. So we want to calculate the mass for oxygen and sulfur atom. We have 2 atoms or elements, that is called oxygen and sulfur. Oxygen is having a symbol O and sulfur is having a symbol S. Number of protons in oxygen is 8 and number of protons in case of sulfur is 16. Now we can also write O8 16, and for sulfur we can write 16 as 32. Now number of neutrons will be the difference of these two. So number of neutrons will be 16 minus 8, that is equal to 8, and number of neutrons in this case will be 32 minus 16, that is equal to 16. Now we want to calculate the mass number of oxygen and sulfur atom. So we have a formula for calculating the mass number, that is equal to Z plus N. Z here is the atomic number and N here is the number of neutrons. So what we will do? We will do 8 plus 8 give us 16 and 16 plus 16 gives us 32. So these are actually the mass numbers for oxygen and sulfur. Now we are with our next question, that is question number 14. For the example of H, D and T, tabulate the 3 subatomic particles for each of them. Now we want to tabulate for H, D and T. Firstly, we will write symbols. Second, we will write elements. Number of protons. number of neutrons and number of electrons. So here we are given with the three atomic symbols, that is H, D and T. So we can write here H, D and T. These are actually the isotopes for hydrogen which we have discussed in our previous lectures. So we have H for hydrogen, that is HDT. H means protium. H hydrogen is the protium. D is for deuterium and T is for tritium. Now we have to conclude the number of protons in this. For the H we can write it as 1H1, 1H2 and we can write 1H3. So the number of protons are written in the subscript, that these are actually the isotopes of hydrogen. So we have 1, 1 and 1. So number of protons in all the three cases will be 1. Now we want to calculate the number of neutrons. Number of neutrons will be the difference of both these. So 1 minus 1, what we will get here? We will get 0. 2 minus 1, we will get 1. And 3 minus 1, we will get 2. So these are the number of protons and these are the number of neutrons. And we also know that the number of protons and number of electrons in an atom is same. So the number of electrons again will be 1, 1, 1. So this is a correct distribution for the three subatomic particles of hydrogen, that is protium, deuterium and tritium. So we have tabulate it in a manner. And this is for tritium. You can copy it from here. Now we are on our next problem, that is problem number 15. Write the electronic configuration of any one pair of isotopes and one pair of isobars. So firstly, we will consider isotopes, and in our next category, we are going to consider about isobars. So we have two elements, that is isotopes and isobars. We know that isotopes are something which have same atomic number. And what is isobars? Isobars are the elements having the same atomic mass, or we may say that they are having a same mass number. Now we want to write the electronic configuration for any one of the pair. So firstly, I am considering the isotope. If I am considering the isotope, I have to take the atomic number same over here. I am taking protium and deuterium. So these are actually the isotopes of hydrogen. This is protium and this is deuterium. Now we want to write the electronic configuration for this. So the electronic configuration for both the cases will be 1s1, because the maximum protons it will conclude here will be 1, because the protons is having 1. Now we are coming to our next topic, that is isobar. Isobars means having a same mass number. So we have an example in this category. Firstly, we have taken argon and calcium. Argon is having atomic number 18, calcium is having the atomic number 20, but both will carry a mass of 40. Mass is 40 here, so we can say that these are categorized in the category of isobars. Now what we want to do? We want to write the electronic configuration of these atoms. So the electronic configuration in case of argon, that is atomic number 18, will be 288. But if I consider the case of calcium, that is 20, it will be 2882. So these are basically the electronic configuration for isobars, and it will be the electronic configuration for isotopes. So in our today's lecture, we have discussed some of the NCERT problems related to structure of atom. In our next class, we will deal with many more problems. So this lecture is over for today. Thank you so much and have a nice day.